Swalwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Good morning, welcome to the North East Footy Brekky Show, the official North East way to start your day. It's good morning to Ted and Rye. How are you, lads?
Good morning. Just putting the AC on, because if Daz thinks 12 degrees is claggy.
And good morning to Daz, who's pushing the buttons this morning.
Good morning.
Daz.
Morning, Steve. You all right?
Very good, mate. Very good. Looking forward to the Alan Wicker advert at some point this morning.
Yes.
The Alan Wicker Appreciation Society's in full flow. We're going to
Absolutely.
An official fan club started, I think, during the summer. Me, Ryan, Ted. So looking forward to that.
I think it started on the left, Steve, and then the right, and then it was in the woofers, and I think it's ended up in the tweeters.
It did, yeah. But I can imagine having an official get together, you know, dressing up as Alan and that kind of thing. Could be fun, lads. Going to the various countries that Alan visited. Yeah,
count me in, mate. Count me in.
Excellent.
All sponsored by the Cat, the Toon and the Red. Are you listening, Dave? Are you listening?
Yes, exactly. Congratulations have to go to Gateshead.
Yeah,
they've won a trophy, lads. They've won a trophy.
Super.
Mind, they made hard work of it with penalties. We'll be looking at that this morning. We'll be talking about Newcastle United, of course, the only one of the three northeastern teams that we cover regularly on this show to be playing at the weekend. They got a 1-1 draw. We'll be looking at that. Also looking at the Premier League results, top and bottom. Looking at the Championship playoffs, of course. A bit of a bore fest, I've got to be honest.
That was exciting, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. If that's the best the Championship can offer, we're all going up and going straight back down. And we'll be talking about Sunderland as well. Couple of Sunderland talking points this morning. Chris Rigg, of course, he's going to be in the shop window, although Ted might not like to hear that, at the England under-17s this month. We'll be talking about him.
It's in Cyprus, so I can close that window, Steve.
We can do. We'll also be looking at the Manchester United situation. It never rains, but it pours, does it, at Manchester United, to be perfectly honest, and boy did it pour after that game yesterday, and showing all of the holes in all of the roofs around Old Trafford. If that wasn't embarrassing, the performance I don't think was much better. Steve McLaren, though, seems to be the man who has the regular job there, because there's talk potentially of him being allowed to stay as part of the coaching staff. Yet Eric Ten Hag and everybody else will get shown the door. Why? I don't know. Do the lads agree with it? And do you agree with it? We'll be asking you as well. And Harry Kane, suffering from back problems. Thomas Tuchel has revealed. Will he be fit enough for the Euros? If not, who should replace him? And we'll also be talking about the Arsenal fire sale, which has been rumoured to happen. No less than 7 players potentially being allowed to leave potentially the Premier League champions next weekend. Would Newcastle United suit any of those players? Who will stay, who will go? We will be talking about that as well. But as always, we want to hear from you. We do have the WhatsApp number, which is 0330 043 2002. If you want to join the debate, if you want to get your points in, make sure you send us a WhatsApp this morning. But as always, we go around the grounds. I think I'll might find the news for me for the next 2 weeks is going to be slightly easy, but I really do feel for Ted and Ryan with Sunderland and Middlesbrough trying to do these headlines. But yeah,
I'll do what Alan Nixon does and make it up.
let's have the club updates from around the grounds.
Magpies and proud. Mags News.
Good morning, Newcastle United fans. Well, Newcastle's hopes of moving closer to their second successive European qualification hang in the balance following a frustrating draw in their final home game of the season. Recovering from going behind, though, the point gain means that Eddie Howe's side will go into their final 2 games holding on to 6th position, with Wednesday's showdown at Old Trafford assuming epic proportions. The Newcastle United Player of the Season award for 23-24 goes to Anthony Gordon for a memorable campaign during which he made his full England bow. Gordon is the 43rd different player to have carried off the award in what is his 49th season of its existence. Incredibly, 6 of the last 7 winners, Jamal Lascelles, Martin Dubravka, Callum Wilson, Joe Linton, Kieran Trippier and now Gordon, are still at the club. And admission details and prices have been confirmed for Tuesday's Northumberland Senior Cup final at St James's Park between Newcastle United under-21s and Blythe Town. East Stand turnstiles 39 to 47 will be open, with adults £8 and concessions £4 and under 18s £2. The tie kicks off at 7:30, and if the scores are tied after 90 minutes, the game will go straight to penalties. That's your Newcastle United headlines on Monday the 13th of May.
Smoggies and Proud. Borough News.
Good morning, my off-season Borough fans. Wait till you hear about that game on the weekend. Middlesbrough came triumphantly over Sunderland 9-0. Riley McGree scoring 9 goals. Can you believe it? Sunderland's attendance only 17,000 after they actually counted correctly as well. What Hunt's headlines this is. No, in honestly, not much happening. It's off-season. Luke Ayling is hoping to consider his move to Sheffield United and Middlesbrough, but is having to wait till Leeds United conclude their season. Currently in the playoffs, Luke Ayling will make his decision in the next coming weeks. He does have offers on the table from both Middlesbrough and Sandwich Boys Sheffield United. And Middlesbrough's injury hit campaign has been highlighted with the startling number of games missed. Ready for this, Borough fans? Middlesbrough players missed a total of 303 games thanks to injury over the course of the 23-24 championship campaign. 303 games, and we still finished 7th. God, we're good. And congrats to Laura Warham as well, who has won the Western North League Division 1 Golden Glove. Good on you, Laura. After keeping 11 sheets for Borough women in 21 games, Warham has been recognised as the best shot stopper in the league this season. Get in. That's your Borough headlines and that Borough win over Sunderland. Good morning.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Meanwhile, back on reality, soon to be out of contract Leeds forward Ian Poveda and QPR midfielder Chris Willock are the latest names being linked with summer moves to Sunderland. There'll be stiff competition for both players though, as Sheffield Wednesday and Norwich City have an interest in the pair respectively. Elsewhere, transfer silly season is definitely in full swing, as a rumour emerged that Anthony Patterson is set to be the subject of an £8 million bid from Sheffield United. Why Chris Wilder only wants to buy around a third of our number one keeper is beyond me, but there you have it. In seriousness though, neither the club or the bid were thought to be of interest to either the player or Sunderland. And finally, Blackburn are reportedly set to trigger a 1-year contract extension in reported Sunderland target Sam Gallagher's deal, following interest from elsewhere. Sunderland are thought to hold a long-time interest in the target man. However, Sam Gallagher missed a large part of this season with an injury, meaning he scored just 3 goals in 24 league appearances, yet that's still one more than any of Sunderland's strikers managed over the season. That's your Sunderland update.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink, the North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the northeast, the red, the tune and the cat.
Well, a year on from defeat at Wembley and having been told they were unable to compete in the playoffs this time round, Gateshead have defeated Solihull Moors on penalties. It was a second spot kick heartache inside a week for Andy Wing's team after they lost to Bromley, missing out on an EFL place last Sunday. Brown was the hero for Gateshead. He fired home the winning penalty kick after scoring the leveller to pull his team back from the brink of extra time defeat. But Mark Beckett thought he'd done enough to win it, his double turning things around after Regan Booty put the Heat ahead in the first half added time. The thrilling final was eventually settled from 12 yards, leaving Gateshead celebrating and Solihull leaving Wembley again devastated within a week. So a trophy, lads, winging its way back to the northeast. And you know what, I really felt for Gateshead when they were told that they couldn't compete in the playoffs. And I remember watching the trophy last year and seeing Gateshead, they struggled to get a team out. They had to take a load of youngsters down last year, and they were on a hiding to nothing, and they came back trophyless last year. And again, we know as North East football fans what it's like to go to the National Stadium and come back empty-handed. It was an absolute pleasure to see Gateshead win that, and I was so pleased for them. But yeah, I mean, Ted, it's one of those situations where, you know, there's nothing Gateshead can do about that situation that developed with the league. But to go and win a trophy and see the Tynesiders, you know, celebrating as they were, Ollie picking the cup up for Gateshead, it was a great moment.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, we're not just talking any trophy as well. I mean, it's arguably the biggest trophy in non-league football, Steve. So to go down there with and sort of, you know, almost rebuild their mentality to win after that sucker punch of not being able to take part in the playoffs, you've got to hand it not only to the players who you know, exceptional, and they've kept such a professional attitude all the way through the season, and you know, despite the obstacles that have been thrown the way, I guess. But you've got to hand it to their coaching team as well, and their support team, because getting the lads up for that and getting them to the final, absolutely brilliant achievement. They've beaten no mugs as well. Solihull Moors are a very, very good non-league outfit. I'm delighted for them. I really am. It's great for the North East. Quite fitting that Dijon Brown was one of the ones that was mentioned as a move to Sunderland, funnily enough. So he's done his stock no disservice at all. Good performance from him, but all in all, just fantastic news for the North East. Any trophy being won at Wembley coming back to the North East is a good thing, unless it's for Newcastle, obviously.
I'm not going to bite.
No.
6 years,
No.
you know, right, after going to the brink, you know, they nearly went out of existence, Gateshead Football Club, if you know your history about Gateshead, and they had a lot of managerial upheaval and exits. They had player departures. They seemed to have a never-ending injury crisis. The FA Trophy defeat then, of course, last season was another knockout blow for them. And then, you know, to find out this season that all the hard work in the league was going to lead to nothing. You know, another knockout blow being delivered to their hopes of promotion. To have this, and I think Ted makes a valid point, to be able to have the inner strength to be able to regroup and say, right lads, let's finish the season on a high for the supporters. I guess this win really was for the Gateshead Soul. It was the Gateshead Soul was a supporters group that basically refused to allow the club to die, and I think this win is for them first and foremost. It's for the supporters, but it's also for all of those people who put the hard work in behind the scenes. Some who aren't there now: Mike Williamson, of course, and Ian Watson. Mike Williamson, who went on and left the club this season, and you know, and he was wished well on his way. I mean, he wanted to better himself, wanted to go to MK Dons, wanted a bigger challenge. It's for Rob Elliott, who stepped in, you know, who came in as manager. Two former Newcastle players who ended up at Gateshead, but you know, players who stuck by the management as well. Carl Magny, Lewis Story being involved. Ben Clark, of course, a player for the club and then coached at the club as well. There's so many people who are in my local town's football club who've done so well and have done so much for the club. I think this win is for them, you know, because they're like everybody else. They've bounced back, and when blows have been delivered to this club, this club in the shadows of Newcastle United, they've always managed to bounce back and do well, and it's great news for them. It's great news for the community, and I just hope that they can get things sorted behind the scenes with regards to the stadium in particular, and you know, not find themselves in a position again next year where, you know, they can get into a place where they either get automatic promotion or they get into the playoffs and they have a situation where they can go on and get back into league football, which would be fantastic. It would be another team up there, be another team in there. But there's a bit of soul at Gateshead, and I'm just, you know, you can tell I might be a Newcastle fan, but I'm really proud of the fact that they've managed to do this.
No, it's a fantastic achievement, and obviously I flicked over and was watching a little bit of it with the highlights as well, and absolutely incredible performance. I mean, it's not been an easy month for Gateshead. You know, I mean, the dispute involving the council and the ownership of the international stadium, I think it is. I mean, it's just, and then obviously being banned from the playoffs. They had something to prove there, and with all that off-pitch turmoil, you know, they still had one last game to play, and it was the significant one. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, they've been there before, haven't they? I mean, I think they lost 1-0 last year to Halifax. Halifax Town in last year's final. So, they've done absolutely fantastic. And to see Lewis Story as well, reportedly playing on a broken foot yesterday as well. So, absolutely incredible performance. And congratulations to everyone involved with Gateshead, because it's an incredible achievement. And as Ted rightly said, any trophy that comes back to the Northeast is worth celebrating, because we're the premier area of England when it comes to football. I mean, no other footballing area really matters, to be honest with you, apart from the Northeast. So it's good to see more silverware in our area, and congratulations to Gateshead and everyone involved for sure.
Yeah, it does. I mean, they lost narrowly to Halifax in last season's final, which in itself was an achievement when you look at the team that they had put out last year. They made hard work of this. I mean, it was tight. It was 1-1 after 90 minutes. Then it went extra time, 2-2 after the end of the 120 minutes, and then obviously going to a penalty shootout. I mean, they won it 5-4, but usually penalty shootouts they either go they're either very one-sided, or everybody scores the penalties and then one person misses. But this had saves, it had people missing their penalties, it had everything before the winner was scored. But it was amazing. And I mean, I guess just being part of it as a Gateshead fan, I mean, I would love to have gone, and I would have gone had it not been on the same day that Newcastle were playing the final home game against Brighton. But must have been a fantastic trip for those Gateshead fans.
Yeah, and I think the other thing for me was that it was in the blazing sun as well. It must have really sapped them, for them to keep going, to get the win, albeit on putting everyone through it via penalties. It's an absolutely brilliant achievement for them, especially after, as you've all said, after the year that they've had. Being the only Northeast club to bring home some silverware, that's going to take some pride in the pub, that one, isn't it? And fair play to them. They deserved it through the turmoil that they've been. I'm really pleased for them. Really pleased for the Northeast that we've got a bit of silverware this year.
Yeah, bagged a trophy. Well done to Gateshead. After the break, we're going to talk about Newcastle United's home game against Brighton, and we'll look ahead, of course, to Newcastle's game against Manchester United as well. But we will be back after this short break.
From Wickham to Whitley Bay, Stonygate to Shields, Doggy to Darlow Backlane, Steve, Ted and Rye. The Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the Northeast, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
It is right across the Northeast on the Cat, the Toon and the Red. And you can get in touch with the Northeast Footy Brekky at any time, 0330 043 2002, just like our friend Matty has done this morning. Morning, lads.
Morning, Matty.
Morning.
Borough, mate.
I hope you're all well. He says, to all Newcastle fans going to Old Trafford, including myself, please bring your wellies just in case it's the theatre of streams.
Well done.
Very good.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Very, very good.
Well
Yeah,
done.
thank you, Matt,
Well
for that
done.
one.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah, you can get in touch with any point. We'd love to hear from you this morning.
Did you watch them yesterday, by the way, Man United? They were shocking.
Yeah, we're going to come to that.
They are gone.
We're going to come to that after Newcastle, mate. Newcastle
Okay.
United won, Brighton won, and the race for Europe continues. And a bit of a nightmare, that, to be honest, for me.
Yeah.
In terms of the result, but not in terms of the performance. I'm not going to be negative about the performance. I thought that Newcastle huffed and the puffed, they just couldn't blow the house down, and I think Brighton unfortunately came with a game plan which completely subdued us in the first half. The second half, Newcastle just couldn't find a way past the rear guard. It was a defensive performance from Brighton and a bit of game management. Lots of falling down, lots of cramp, lots of wanting assistance from the sidelines, and for me personally, that was the frustrating part of the afternoon. It was a party atmosphere. The flag display had been absolutely fantastic. We had wonderful weather. Everyone had a canny bevy before they got to the ground, but unfortunately, and the fans were in great voice. I've got to be honest, probably one of the best atmospheres of the season. But Brighton just came with the idea of spoiling the party, and it's surprising. They've only got a top 10 place to aim for, Brighton, but I guess it probably brought us down. I wouldn't say it brought us back down to earth. It just gave us a bit of a reality check that, if you let your standards drop, even a fraction in the Premier League, then you can come a cropper. So, look, it was a point gained for Newcastle, especially with Manchester United losing against Arsenal, and that gets us another point ahead of them, 3 points ahead of them, with a far superior goal difference. And we now go to Old Trafford on Wednesday with that, with that in mind. We know now if we draw, we'll finish above Manchester United for the first time in Premier League history, and that in itself is a positive. Delighted for Sean Longstaff to get another goal. He's been criticised and continues to be criticised by a percentage of our fan base, people who clearly don't see that you need somebody like that in the midfield who does the stuff that people don't see. He does all the dirty stuff, he holds the ball up, he does the running, he does the graft. Just because he's not the man playing the 60-yard balls or scoring the 30-yard volleys every week, he's an important part of that team. And will he be an important part of that team next season? If we've got all of our players fit, I would say he'd be a good squad player. I think Tonali will be the main person in that role next season. But he scored a goal yesterday on Saturday. He scored a goal which got us a point, and I think that was very important. Standout performance for me was Emil Kraft. I thought he was absolutely brilliant at centre half at the weekend. And bearing in mind, as everyone knows, we've had so many injuries this season. We're now missing Lascelles and Botman and Fabian Schär. Three of your main centre halves all missing at the weekend. To say we didn't miss them is a compliment to Emil Kraft, but he was absolutely brilliant at the weekend. And proof again that Eddie Howe really does have the Midas touch from and being able to coach players to be their best. And I think that was very evident with Kraft, who again has come back from a bad injury himself. Concerns: Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson, both, as we know, in and out of the team because of illness or injury. Wilson not even on the bench at the weekend, and that's a blow for Newcastle, but it'll be a blow for England. And Wilson has already been picked by Gareth Southgate this year. And he will be concerned that he's not getting a regular game, and he just started to hit form again as he come back a couple of games ago, but not even on the bench. Talk about him being ill. If that's the case, then hopefully he'll be okay for Wednesday. Talk that Alexander Isak was also ill, and that was why he got taken off. So not injury, a bout of illness. We're led to believe, and that was why we got a below par performance from Isak. More positives: Joe Linton came on again, looked great. Miguel Miron, Harvey Barnes came on as well, so they've got more minutes under their belts. There was no inspirational moments from Bruno, not one of his better games, but let's face it, the guy's carried Newcastle United on his shoulders for the last 6 or 7 weeks. He's done well. I think the big contentious issue to talk about, lads, is the diving. And there was 2 horrendous dives in this game, and that's a question I want to really raise with you both. And it's Almiron. He went through and he got booked for simulation, and one of the Brighton players had done the same. It's creeping into the game on a regular basis, and it's becoming embarrassing. So Ray, I'll come to you first. I mean, did you see that moment where he dived? What did you make of it? What did he make of it?
I mean, the whole game was pretty below par. I thought Newcastle. We all predict Newcastle 3-1, 4-1. I think there were some predictions in there as well. And to see Brighton really dig in, like you said, straight away, you could tell it was going to be a tough old afternoon for Newcastle to break them down. I was surprised by Brighton. I thought Brighton were a more attacking sort of threat with João Pedro up front as well. I remember him in the Championship setting the world alight and stuff like that. But I was surprised how well they dug in. And it was a tough old game for Newcastle. And then Almiron, that was just. It's not good. He's got to get that out of his game for me. And I'm not trying to be, disrespectful or anything like that. But it's cheating when you try and do it. Do you know what I mean? And you just got to. I don't know. I hate seeing it. And not only for Newcastle, but for anyone that does it. And Almiron's, Of a tough old season, hasn't he? I mean, we remember him just recently being linked to Saudi, I think it was, Steve, in January. Was he going to be there? He was linked about he was going, and then his agent said no, he doesn't want to go anywhere. So, yeah, I mean, it's a frustrating one for me when you see someone trying to do it, and you know what? It'd be even more frustrating to see it, getting paid or and then VAR coming in, sort of thing as well. So, yeah, no, he's got to get that out of his game. But I honestly don't think after the links in January. I mean, I was sitting there watching that Newcastle team, and I'm just sitting there knowing, just believing that team is going to be so different come day one of next season. It's just going to look so different. I mean, you've got so much talent in Anthony Gordon again, even though Liverpool are cheekily coming in apparently now for Gordon, but any deal
this morning,
any deal for that could be quite interesting. But look, it's going to be a big summer for Newcastle, and I think Almiron unfortunately is going to find himself in a different jersey come next season. I would think, just due to the fact that Newcastle are going to probably do a bit of a revamp under Eddie Howe. But disappointing to see. But credit to Brighton, they did well. And what frustratingly, which came out of nowhere for me, is Chelsea. Chelsea are now right there again. I mean, last time I looked, Chelsea were like 14th. Now they're 7th. So I don't know what's happened there, but they're equal points now with Newcastle. Obviously, you've got a superior goal difference, but I mean, Chelsea now play Brighton as well. So you hope that Brighton could, deploy the same tactics, and hopefully Chelsea don't sneak into that 6th spot now.
Yeah, I mean, Ted, it was like... felt like after the Lord Mayor's show, we've put a really good run together, Newcastle. It's been a phenomenal run considering where we were. Rai talks about Chelsea, but Newcastle equally were miles away from European competition, and they've got themselves right into the final weekend. They've got something to play for at the final weekend. But it was it was a disappointing result. But I think you can tell from my review that it wasn't as bad as probably the media are making out.
No, and the one thing that's probably not been covered yet, lads, is the season Brighton have had. They are actually a very good side, and they seem to be able to mix it, Steve. They can play good football like what they did at Anfield, and really take it to teams, or they can absolutely dig in and frustrate and I suppose, to use a Mikel Arteta expression, engage in the dark arts a little bit, which. You've got to be able to do that. Right now, I'd say Newcastle probably have the better squad. I don't think there's even a question to be asked there. But when you are going away to a game like that, with 52,000 people in the stadium, big full house, Newcastle on a high, everyone's on a high, the crowd are as well. The thing that Brighton had to do was go there and frustrate and get men behind the ball and kind of just slow the game down. And take any sting out of it and take any kind of impetus out of the game, and they did that. So I think it's they've got a very good coach, Steve, and they went and did a job, and maybe even on another day possibly feel a little bit aggrieved they couldn't come away with 3 points, but Newcastle have that quality, and I'm over the moon for Longstaff as well. On this show I've waxed lyrical about the lad. I know he hasn't had the best of seasons, probably by his standards. I know he's probably had a little bit of stick as well. But there is a quality player in Longstaff. And I want to see this guy develop and actually play a little bit more football, because I just feel there's an even better player in there. So whether he stays at the club or not, I know there was a couple of rumours about him maybe being let go soon to loosen up the wage bill a little bit. But over the moon for the lad. Not a wonderful game by any means, but look, it's a useful point. And when you consider, the banana skins that you've had against Luton Town, against Nottingham Forest, a draw against a decent mid-table side like Brighton isn't a wasted point at all, I don't think.
No, definitely a point earned, and a draw was a fair result. I never sugarcoat things on here. I genuinely felt Brighton were worthy of the point. I don't think either team deserved to win, and that proved to be the case. It was a frustrating goal that Newcastle conceded, and credit to the Brighton fans. 2,000 of them came up. I found it rather strange as I was looking towards the away end, and everyone seemed to have like what looked to be a replica top. And it wasn't until after the game I found out that the club had actually handed out T-shirts for the away fans free of charge, so that's why they all had the same. That's why they all had the same top on. They also took an unusual step of hiring a city centre bar for a pre-match talk-in, and that was attended by the owner Tony Bloom and the CEO Paul Barber. So doing things slightly differently and keeping their fans, I guess, keeping their fans happy is another positive from Brighton. Which you know, it's good to hear. Just before I ask you, Daz, about your views on the game, just there was a half-time guest. It's funny because we were talking about half-time entertainment last week, and why don't Newcastle ever do anything? Is it because they don't have a sponsor, or do they just not think it's relevant? But they actually had some half-time guests on the pitch. They must have been listening to the North East Footy Brekky show.
Obviously.
Jonas Gutierrez, Papi Cisse, Ryan Taylor, and Stephen Taylor were all at the match. But Jonas and Papi were on the pitch at half-time. Jonas had been up to do a talk-in earlier in the week, so it was good to see them do something a little bit different at half-time and give people that little bit of entertainment. And special mention as well to War Flags. It's been an epic season for pre-match displays. Of course, it's fan funded. There has been for occasions such as Wembley, where the club have given us some money to put towards it. But this season ended with a four-sided endeavour. It was both ends of the ground, the Leazes and the Gallagher. Basically had a representation of the club crest as it was between 1976 and 1983. The Gallagher end displayed the castle, and the badge with the grass and the water and the details in the front, and the Leazes end was the magpie from the badge. So I had a few people after the match going, what was the display all about? Well, of course you have to be of a certain vintage, I guess, or know your history of your club to know exactly what it was all about. But credit to War Flags, they I'm sure will be back next season with more great ideas, and really I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with. But getting back to the game, Daz, it was. I think Ted's right. It was a point. It was a point earned against a decent Brighton team, and I think we were getting a bit carried away, I think, with our predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed when I saw the result. Especially, I'm pleased that you'd come back from one down, but yeah, I mean, I was hoping that you'd get the 3 points, and you'd be away really, and it would be an easier last couple of games. Not easier, but maybe less stressful couple of games there. I mean, it looks as though it's all about Brighton, isn't it? Really, because Brighton play Chelsea on Wednesday, then they play Man United at the weekend as well. So they've got a lot to say in what happens between these places around 6th and 7th, and because Chelsea, like you said, Rye, Chelsea have come up sort of on the rails there. After their dismal run of form that they've had this season, and are starting to put results together now, and looks as though they could come in and steal the party. So thankfully Newcastle have got a better goal difference there. So you arguably they're two must-win games to cement that European place coming up, and they're not going to be easy games, are they? Coming up for the pair of them. Wednesday at Old Trafford. We're expected a downpour on Wednesday again, so that's gonna be interesting. Obviously they're away at Brentford on the final day. My money's still on Newcastle to do it, but they're going to be more. They're going to need to be more clinical in front of goal to be able to do that, I think, moving forward this week.
Yeah, no, certainly agree. Just want to point out as well before we move on from the game, the referee was awful, absolutely diabolical. And he was.
Who was it?
Darren England. Only second game for us. 1-0 defeat at Luton was the other game he took charge of. But just not letting the game flow, not booking people early on, and then deciding to book people later on for fouls that he could have booked somebody earlier. It was just complete mismanagement of the game, and he didn't help the game at all, and he allowed Brighton to get away with the game management, which was so frustrating, to the point where in the second half Eddie Howe clearly said, well, if they're going to do that, we'll do that. So it was that's what spoiled the game for me. Had Darren England clamped down on it early doors, things would have been a lot different. But that's it. It's it's gone. It's in the past. We'll be looking ahead to the Manchester United game in due course. 0330 043 2002 is the WhatsApp number if you want to make your comments about the Newcastle game over the weekend. After the break, we'll be looking at the championship race, the playoffs, and see what the lads thought of that. We'll be back after this.
From Yarm to Yebe, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink, the North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
And you can get in touch with the show at any time via the WhatsApp 0330 043 2002. That's also the number you can call us on as well. If you want to come on air, speak to our leg ends on the North East Footy Breakfast 0330 043 2002. Matty's been back in touch on the Brighton game. The referee was a disgrace. He also said we definitely need a new goalkeeper to compete with Pope, and Miggy thought he was Tom Daly. And on Wilson, Steve, I really think we need to sell him in the summer. Love the guy, but he's made of marshmallows.
Yeah, it's not looking, likely that Almiron, Wilson, and I'd say Trippier will be at the club in the summer. I think all three will have gone. I think Trippier wants one last contract, and despite all the positive vibes that people are putting out there about him staying, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go, and he would go with the best wishes, and that's my opinion. That's not based on anything I've heard, but I do believe that he will be off ski, and I do think Almiron, because they're trying to sell him in the January transfer window, will be off late in the summer as well. Callum Wilson, despite the fact that I think he wants to keep him, Eddie Howe wants to keep him because he knows that it's so difficult to replace a goal scorer. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen either. But those are the three that I would say, your blue chip players, main players who may well could go out the door. They equally could stay, but Newcastle have to sell somebody. Football moves on. You don't keep all of your players, and although there is deadwood like Isaac Hayden, Jeff Hendrick, Ryan Fraser, those three players in particular, you would imagine will all finally be off our books this summer. Loris Karius, we know, is going. There's going to be some major changes, and it'll be interesting to see. But it's how you replace those players and who you replace them with, and does he take a risk on some of the youngsters? We've got a few youngsters who potentially could break through. We've got Alfie Harrison, of course. Lots of talk about him potentially being better than Lewis Miley and may well feature next season. Garen Kowal, of course, who there was a big celebration about him signing, but of course very little game time for him over the last 2 years. Is he gonna cut the mustard at Newcastle? And Yankuba Minte scored again over the weekend. He's hit double figures now. So lots of excitement about him. Could he be a natural replacement for Miggy? And would he do well in the Premier League? So lots to consider for Newcastle fans over the course of the summer, and we've already been linked with 78 players in the last 3 weeks. 78 players. Barry Hogan, who is a regular listener of the show, who often sends a WhatsApp in.
Yeah, he sends us some stuff in, doesn't he? Yeah.
78 players so far in 3 weeks. So that tells you what kind of summer we're going to have with regards to being linked with ins and outs.
Well, Matty mentions one of those players. Toisin Adarabayo. I'm sound like Rai here. That player.
Not Leroy Rossignol, is it?
No.
Yeah.
It looks like he's coming
Good
in
manager.
on a free though. Apparently.
Yeah, well, with Lloyd Kelly as well from Bournemouth. We're led to believe that Lloyd Kelly's done, and that will be announced. Maybe he's in due course. But yeah, the link with Tosin is interesting. Seems that he fancies the move to Newcastle rather than another London club. So that's great. If we can bring two players in on free transfers, That's shrewd business by Newcastle. Two players with Premier League experience who can fit straight into the squad's fantastic. So we will wait and see. But yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few ins and outs. I think it's going to be an exciting window for us, and plenty for me to cover on NUFC matters. That's for certain. I don't often mention it now because I used to get criticised for mentioning it. But there you go. People can tune in to me during the summer when we're having a break on NUFC matters.
Fabulous. And right, just to let you know that it looks as though Borough on the verge of signing 2 players. Looks like we're signing Michael Vorm on loan and Thomas Callas on a 4-year deal because, as we know, Vorm is temporary and Callas is permanent. So,
there we
go. You're very welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well
you can have that. You can have that. You can have that.
That was fantastic. That was good. That was really good. Well done.
Let's talk about the playoffs, lads. I'm excited to see what the Championship's got to offer and what teams are going to come up. So let's talk Norwich, Leeds, and West Brom, Southampton. Ted, 2 barnstorming games at the weekend in the Championship. First legs. Which one do you want to start with? You're spoiled for choice, really.
Well, we'll do them in order of kickoffs. Without a word of a lie, I actually nodded off during the Norwich Leeds game. Yeah. Which was nothing to do. I mean, I hadn't had a boozy night or anything like that. It was just literally, it was that dull. Yeah. What we've learned from that is absolutely nothing from both games. I actually, in the second game, I volunteered to go and do a small food shop. That's how bad it was. I preferred going to Lidl than other supermarkets are available. I preferred doing that than rather watching that game. It was honestly that bad. It was just insipid football from both games. I get it. Look, there's a lot at stake here. It's a place in the Premier League. It's not to be sniffed at. It's business changing amount of monies on offer for going up, but nobody for me just wanted to grab either game by the horns and go, right, let's dictate terms here. Let's get a solid start to the semi-finals. It was all very safe. It was all very timid. And to be honest, any 4 of them, if they went into a Premier League game like that, they'd get absolutely turned over. And honestly, looking at them, I can't see any sign of actual Premier League class among any of them. There was mistakes at the back. I thought Norwich looked shaky at times. I looked at the likes of Sargent, who plays for Norwich as well, who's had a decent season. But when I'm looking at his movement and looking at what he had to offer against Leeds, I'm thinking he's not going to be able to break down a Premier League defence. Absolutely no chance. Leeds just offered very little for me. They were waiting for mistakes from Norwich rather than trying to press the game to them, which I thought is kind of, either they were just trying to conserve things and wait for the home leg, or it was just kind of an end of season, we're knackered kind of look. The Southampton game as well, much the same. I just thought everybody was more concerned with not losing the game rather than actually go and try and take the initiative. And it made for two very dull games of football, and I hope whoever does get through, they give us a bit more entertainment in the final. I strung that out for more than I thought I could.
Yeah, not a lot for us lot to say now after that.
All I'm going to say is that they're very lucky Borough didn't make it into those playoffs. The form we were in against any 4 of those teams, if they had displayed that, was absolutely shocking. The goals we were scoring down that right-hand side, Leeds looked open as any I've ever seen them. It was just, it was shocking. It was such a poor display of 4 teams that are trying to get back to the Premier League, trying to show that, and that you're absolutely right. It's just like they've run out of gas, and it was 2 really poor games, and you hope that they're, for the next set of them, that someone just takes it by the horns. I mean, we saw in the Championship towards that end of the season, this battle for first and second, when we were joking on here saying nobody wanted it. Remember, because everyone was like tripping up at the final hurdle. Well, if it was evident as ever, it was that in that game where it's that whole sort of too scared to make a mistake, so we're not going to do anything and we'll wait till the next game, sort of thing. And it was a really poor performance from all four teams, and a poor showing for the championship level of football, especially Leeds and all that with Somerville, and even Norwich with Josh Sargent and stuff like that. There's some good players in that team, and it just wasn't on display at all, and not what you expect from playoff games. So although it is only game one, I guess we just but Leeds, you're gonna do it again, aren't you? You're gonna do it again, aren't you? Put the lids on, you little bottlers. All right, jeez Louise.
Does
I don't even know what that means.
It's always difficult to go third when we've got nothing to talk about a particular situation, but that's why I left it to you. You're an expert in this field.
In boring games? I mean, it was they were both just absolutely dire. I think I fell asleep in the West Brom Saints game as well. You said it right. It's like no one wants to win this. And that was absolutely evident. It was just two very, very cagey games. Who could predict we'll go through now? I mean, we've got to go back to where we were at. I think you maybe argue that Saints Southampton are probably favourites now, going having the home leg, and possibly exactly. Leeds as well. They're having them home. So potentially you could see a Leeds Saints final. I don't know. My money's still on Southampton to go up. I've said them for a little while now. I'd like to see them go through. But none of them look as though they want it. Someone's going to have to come out and really give them a good kick over the backside. And maybe that was their game plan. To go into the weekend, not to concede. Both, all four teams don't concede. Let's take it to the second leg and go for it. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning, what the game plans were. But
I heard they both got Aitor Karanka in, mate. That type of football. Do you know what I mean? It was that. It was the. If we're not going to score, we're not going to lose. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But all four teams to do that, it was. Oh my goodness. Jeez Louise. Bad.
And it's not. It's not a great advert for the Championship.
No. Well, I mean, this is teams that are meant to be prime, ready to go back to the Premier League. And we saw pretty much on the weekend with the Premier League results the way they went that it pretty much confirms. I know there's a goal difference and yada yada, but Luton are coming back down now. Do you know what I mean? Because of that West Ham result. So all three teams that went up from the Championship this season are coming back down. And and what is that trying to say about the gap in between the leagues? And then you see these four teams that have got the chance to go up, to play for it all, to go out there and show that they've been there all season and they're ready, they're primed, they're ready for the next league up. And I'm sorry, but all four of them, none of them looked like it. They were ready. They all look like it'd be the same again. Maybe Leicester do it, but even Leicester were throwing it away towards the end of last season. Ipswich Town, do you know what I mean? They've just come up from League One and they've just pantsed it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a shame that that was on effect, especially not only for that that sort of weekend to see those games in the playoff finals to look like that, but then you've also got the three teams that came down last season, came up with last season, going straight back down. Come off it.
66 points I think they've had between the three teams as well, which I think is now the lowest amount of points that three teams have managed to achieve who've come up from the Championship. So it tells you that they've had such a poor season. So we will wait and see what happens in the second legs of the playoffs, and then the big £150 million the big £150 million game, which will probably get settled on penalties. Just before we head into the news at the top of the hour. We obviously just want to focus a little bit on Celtic and Rangers. I mean, I do know fans who support, say, Newcastle and support one of those teams. I was at the Irish club at the weekend, which is the Celtic supporters' main hub before the Newcastle game. It was absolutely bedlam in there, but Celtic, of course, winning that game 2-1, and looks like they've won the league. Ted, it's all done and dusted in Scotland again.
Absolutely. I've got a little smile on my face because I actually went to the pub to watch the early game, the Fulham Man City game, but I actually clean forgot that the Old Firm was on, and I've made a new best friend for life, a young lad called Paddy, who was in the pub, who looked like he'd been in the pub for the last 4 days, to be honest, like, and certainly smelt like he had. It was a holiday maker. Great game, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed it. All the drama, the sending off that you expect out of a big derby like that. But Paddy, honestly, this kid was absolutely. I've seen drunk, and then I've seen drunk. But this kid was like on a different level. And he was getting picked up by the coach at 6:30 p.m. to fly back to Scotland that night, and he left the pub at 6 p.m.
Dear me.
So, Paddy, if you're out there, highly entertaining. Listen, I think Celtic have got it, Steve. Like you say, 2 games left, mate. That was Rangers' only chance to really peg them back. But yeah, very, very entertaining game. Everything you want from a derby, really.
Yeah, right. I mean, I support Newcastle and Newcastle only. But some people support Newcastle and Celtic, Newcastle Rangers. But it was a hell of a game of the weekend.
Yeah, it was actually incredible. Seeing Brendan Rodgers bounce back as well. I always really liked Brendan Rodgers, all 5'2" of him. And it was incredible to see him go back to Celtic and get them back going. Celtic have always had a bit of a good link to here in Australia. There's a lot of Celtic fans, and when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. I mean, Ange Postecoglou put his trade there. We've seen a lot of Aussies go through there. Aaron Moy, Tom Rogic, back in the day, Harry Kewell was linked to them as well. So yeah, it was good to see, and it was all over the news here. Congratulations to Brendan Rodgers and the Celtic team because as I said, I actually rate Brendan Rodgers, and I thought he did very well at Leicester in the 4 years or so there, and I think you'll honestly find himself back in the Premier League again one day. He's just very good tactician, I reckon.
Okay, that is the top of the hour. We have got lots more to come on the Northeast Footy Brekky Show, but we have the news break, and we will be back after this.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink, the Northeast Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the Northeast, the Red, the Tune and the Cat.
And we'll be back with more Northeast Footy chat across the Northeast right after this from Supergrass. Good morning, 8:03.
Footy Brekky show this fine Monday morning. People actually been out sunbathing and that this weekend, and gotta ask as well, lads, what's all these flashy lights in the sky? Daz, did you see these flashy lights in the sky? Was it the Northern Lights or something? What was all that?
Yeah, it was fabulous. Yeah, I saw them. Must have been, was it Friday night? The first round of them. Yeah, it looks amazing. I mean, people are saying that they spent $3,000 going to Iceland to see that. And then there it is. We can see it now.
I'm just up the road from Lidl and I saw them.
Yeah.
033 043 2002 is the WhatsApp number if you want to join in the madness this morning. Yeah, right. Do you get the Northern Lights in Australia?
No. It's like those weirdos that chase those eclipses across the countrysides and to different areas as well. Those weirdos that do that. It's just honestly. But all I saw was from the pictures on the weekend was all the Borough lads sending in the Northern Lights, and it looks absolutely incredible. God, I was jealous. So we obviously don't have that anywhere here in Australia, and can't wait to. Hopefully, it's on the bucket list for sure.
Well, I'll buy some 3D glasses, right? It's just the same.
Thank you, mate.
I can't understand all the fuss about it, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, it does look pretty. But I wouldn't be wasting my time driving around into the middle of nowhere trying to find these Northern Lights. But yeah, big fuss being made about it on social media, and we will be coming to Steve's X-Files very, very shortly. But lots to talk about. But as always, we will go around the grounds to get our club updates from Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Soon to be out of contract Leeds forward Ian Poveda and QPR midfielder Chris Willock are the latest names being linked with summer moves to Sunderland. There'll be stiff competition for both players though, as Sheffield Wednesday and Norwich City have an interest in the pair respectively. Elsewhere, transfer silly season is definitely in full swing as a rumour emerged that Anthony Patterson is set to be the subject of an £8 million bid from Sheffield United. Why Chris Wilder only wants to buy around about a third of our goalkeeper is beyond me, but there you have it. In seriousness though, neither the club or the bid would be thought to be of interest to either the player or the Sunderland. And finally, Blackburn are reportedly set to trigger a one-year contract extension in reported Sunderland target Sam Gallagher's deal following interest from elsewhere. Sunderland are thought to hold a long-term interest in the target man, however Gallagher missed a large part of this season with an injury, meaning he scored just 3 goals in 24 league appearances. Yet that's still one more than any Sunderland strikers managed over the season. That's your Sunderland updates this Monday.
Smoggies and Proud. Borough News.
Good morning, my off-season Borough fans. Hopey Monday. I think I said hope and happy then at the same time, came out as hopey, but that's what it's like in the off-season. Middlesbrough have got to wait on Luke Ayling as the deal will be concluded after Leeds United finish their season. It is hopes that Luke Ayling has had time to mull over the offer, not only placed on the table from Middlesbrough, but also Sheffield United. It is thought, though, that Luke would be favouring a move to Middlesbrough, but nothing can be done until he becomes a free agent after Leeds United season will conclude. And how's this? Middlesbrough have tallied up the amount of games missed thanks to injuries this season. Middlesbrough players missed a total of 303 games thanks to injuries over the course of the 23-24 season. My goodness me, with the rotten luck in the regard to a huge factor behind the failure to make playoffs, and how good we would have gone in the playoffs as well. Did you see those, Borough fans? My goodness me. And congratulations to Laura Warham, who has won the Division 1 North Golden Glove. After keeping 11 sheets for the Borough women in 21 games, Warren has been recognised as the best shot stopper in the league this season. Get in, Laura. That's your Borough updates. See you in the Champions League next season.
Magpies and Proud. Mags News.
Newcastle United's hopes of moving closer to their second successive European qualification hang in the balance following a frustrating draw in their final home game of the season. Recovering from going behind though, the point gain means that Eddie Howe's side will go into their final 2 games holding on to 6th position, with Wednesday's showdown at Old Trafford assuming epic proportions. The Newcastle United Player of the Season award for 23-24 goes to Anthony Gordon for a memorable campaign during which he made his full England bow. Gordon's the 43rd different player to have carried off the award in what is the 49th season of its existence. Incredibly, 6 of the last 7 winners, Jamal Lascelles, Martin Dubravka, Callum Wilson, Joe Linton, Kieran Trippier and now Anthony Gordon, are still at the club. And admission details and prices have been confirmed for Tuesday's Northumberland Senior Cup final at St James's Park between Newcastle United's under-21s and Blythetown. East Stand turnstiles 39 to 47 will be open with adults at £8 and concessions £4 and under 18s £2. The tie kicks off at 7:30 and if the scores are tied after 90 minutes, it'll go straight to penalties. That's in Newcastle headlines on Monday the 13th of May.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink, the North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the northeast, the red, the toon and the cat.
Okay, welcome back to the North East Footy Brekky Show. If you want to get involved, then please do join us on WhatsApp 0330 043 2002. Want to talk Sunderland now for the next 10 minutes or so. A couple of stories that I picked out. First of all, Danish coach Bo Svensson, who was formerly of Mainz, is emerging, apparently, according to Sky reports, as a shock candidate for the Sunderland vacancy. Ted, have you heard this? Is this a concrete move, do you think, by Sunderland, or are you still holding all the still cards in your hand?
Well, this is the thing. There's so many people being linked with this now, Steve. It's getting ridiculous. Like I say, it came from a newspaper that I've got absolutely zero respect for, nor should any football fan, to be honest. But there you go. That's a story for another day. But listen, I've had a look at the guy. Bo Svensson, like you say, former Mainz coach. Did very well with them. He did well in I think it was the Danish League 2 as well before that. He's an up-and-coming one. Very much in the mould of the likes of Klopp. They like to develop the head coaches there. He left Mainz by mutual consent. It was a little bit of a bad run of form at the beginning of this season, but prior to that, he actually got some very good results with them, hovering around the European qualification. And, Bo Svensson apparently picks a very good team because everybody's singing Bo Selector. So, yeah, I've been waiting for a way to shoehorn that in. He looks an interesting one. I think he definitely ticks the boxes. He's only 44 years old, so there's obviously a bit of time there to develop himself as a coach, learn on the job. It's going to come down to the old thing, though, that no experience of English football. And I don't know whether it's an Englishman or whether it's somebody who's had a bit of time in English football. I think that would be the preference. But you look at his track record, mate. He's got to be worth considering. Mainz are a decent outfit. He's managed in the Bundesliga. That's look, it's got more Champions League places than what the Premier League has this season. So it tells you something about the quality of the competition there. So let's see. It's another name that's been added to an already grown list. The Will Still thing seems to have gone quiet again. I just have a hunch he might go to Hull City. I've just got a hunch about that. For me, I would still prefer Liam Rosenior. That's only my personal opinion, though.
I bet you wouldn't want him coming to Sunderland, right?
No, because then I can't pronounce and I can't talk about Sunderland next season at all because it's just going to be Liam and the Mackhams. I'll call him like a band or something like that, I guess, because that's all I can get out of it.
I've literally taught you how to say it.
I know, and I've still forgotten, and I know I'd butcher it. Do you know what I mean? It's not one of those ones that I've got down packed every time either.
It doesn't trip off the tongue, mate. It doesn't trip off the tongue.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. So old Smelly Rose, I think, would be interesting to see how he goes at Sunderland. But I still think it's Will Still. I've still got odds on favourite for Will Still, and it's interesting seeing all these players linked with Chris Wilder and Sheffield United. Can we not sandwich man? Do you know what I mean? Like, just you lost 100 goals they conceded in the Premier League, by the way, 100 goals plus. You know what I mean? Congratulations, Chris Wilder. You know what I mean? So, honestly, it's interesting to see, and I hope Sunderland get it right, and I hope we get a Macca manager in the next 2 weeks, because then it gives us something to talk about in the next 2 shows after the off season, doesn't it? So, it'll be exciting. So, if anything, it's good to see some good names coming through. None of them are at Michael Carrick's level, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Daz, anything on the wires about Sunderland's managers? Are you getting any hints or any updates as to who Sunderland may well be chasing?
I was working on the Three Legends show on Friday night, and they were trying to sort of unpick Darren Williams on this to see what he knew, and word on the street is there is no word on the street. It's still. And which is a huge surprise considering that they came out towards the end of the season and said we'll have a decision very, very soon. So he was sort of speculating that maybe something's not right behind the scenes. Maybe somebody has been offered something and hasn't taken it, or is not interested.
Odds for another 12 months.
Yeah, he's not happy about it. And I think that's the alarming thing, though, isn't it? That it's been left to rumour. It's been left to suggestion without any, without the club and the way that the club is at the moment. And I'm sure you'll agree with this, Ted. There's a lot of things that need sort of straightening out. That needs, there's the PR disasters around. Well, we know, with being well documented. There's been a thing recently about the bricks, hasn't there? That's causing a lot of concern at the actual stadium. The memoriam bricks. That sounds like, reading about it, it's a bit of a farce going on. So there's a lot of things that are unsettled at the moment, and what they clearly need is some decent PR and people who have been up front and coming out and saying, look, this is what's happening. And that's not what you're getting. So,
no, it's not.
What's happening with the bricks? I've missed this story.
Yeah, so they're relocating.
So basically,
go on, Ted.
Yeah, they're relocating the store from where it is at this moment in time. That's set to become a sports bar, I believe. So it's going to need opening out. So basically, all around the stadium.
I was going to say.
I don't think I'll make that mistake again.
Newcastle yours.
Yeah. So basically all around the stadium, the people have bought bricks over the years, basically have them engraved, whether it's in memoriam to somebody they've lost or just to contribute towards the stadium. I'm forgetting how much it is to get your name engraved on there, but they're going to have to remove a complete panel of them because of the work that's going to be done. Now, this has to be done very carefully, obviously, because people have paid money to have them in a certain place. Yeah. Whether it's right near where they used to sit inside the stadium or the turnstile they used to go in, or it's going to upset a few people without a doubt. But listen, I mean, I understand it because my dad's got a brick there, and if I thought it was going to be moved to somewhere that was kind of just totally insignificant or just handled without the care that's supposed to be handled with, then I'd be fuming, absolutely. But at the same time the club has to progress. We've been complaining about the store facilities and access to stock and things like that for a long time now they're finally addressing that, and David Bruce has made some positive steps with it, the new CBO. And we have to embrace that a little bit and kind of expect that, okay, we're going to have to maybe dig out a few trees before we can replant them. The thing for me, though, is from the club at the minute, there just seems to be nothing. We tend to hear everything on social media first before the club actually confirms it. And even the Hummel deal was leaked well before the club said anything about it. So they just need to get their PR a little bit better. Whatever leaks they've had in the past, I think Sunderland fans pretty much know that one of them's already gone. But yeah, they need to address that. They need to do things properly. They need to address it through the right channels and keep the fans in the loop with what's going on. Because right now, they've had since February to sort this out, and we're still without a head coach, which is quite worrying, to be honest.
033 2002 WhatsApp number if you want to get in touch with us this morning on the North East Footy Brekky show. You're going to open the X-Files after this.
From Wickham to Whitley Bay, Stonygate to Shields, Doggy to Darlow Backlane, Steve, Ted and Rye, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
And you can get in touch with the North East Footy Brekky at any time via the WhatsApp. We'd love to hear from you. 0330 043 2002. We've got a new listener this morning. Steve. Morning, Steve.
Steve.
First time listener. Great show. How are the lads?
Yes.
From Steve Brackley in South Northants.
Good on you, Steve. Thanks for joining us, pal.
Is it Howie or Howie?
He's a Toon fan.
Howie. Sorry, yeah, I've got to get that right, haven't I?
With an O.
Yeah.
He's just put HWTL, so it was my mistake there.
Oh.
You've had a WhatsApp as well, haven't you, Ted?
Well, just before we do, I think it's related to that. Alts has been in touch this morning.
Morning, Alts.
Any news?
Morning.
Any news on the rumours? Mike Bassett for Sunderland. I think you've got thanks for that. I believe you've got some news or potential news on the manager's job, Ted.
No.
Right.
No, literally, this is a WhatsApp. This is a WhatsApp in from Big Nige. Just pass and comment on it, which he usually does. The fact we still haven't appointed anyone is peak Sunderland. I know we're in the off season and stadium and infrastructure developments can only be done at this point. But on the manager front, to quote Blackadder, we've advanced about as far as an asthmatic ant with some heavy shopping. Which, I think that's beautifully put, Nige. Beautifully put. That's why he's my best mate. And that's an iconic line. Thank you for that, Nige.
Get in. Well done, Big Nige Pearson.
Right, lads, the anticipation's built too much. It's time to open the X-Files.
It's Steve's X-Files.
So the X-Files, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Brackley, a new listener. It is basically where we go off track a little bit and look at what is trending on X, formerly known as Twitter. Sometimes this can take us down routes that Dave, who owns the radio station, has him quivering in his boots. And at the moment he's in Asia and probably won't be listening to the show live. So there's nothing he can do about it. So here we go. Jim Dale is trending today. Carry On Films. Oh, matron. We've also got Sarah Lancashire, the actress, of course, the BAFTAs last night. Rod Stewart, Ed Balls, the BBC, the Alphabet Challenge, and the Theatre of Streams. So where do we start? I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start with Jim Dale, lads. Carry On Films. Ted, we're from the same era. Carry On Films.
Yes.
What is your favourite Carry On film, mate?
Oh, I loved Carry On Camping.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it.
Carry On
That's my
Camping was one of the
favourite.
best one. Yeah, Barbara Windsor with the bra that flies off. Yes, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Have you got a Carry On film? Have you watched Carry On Films, right?
Nah, never seen it. Never seen it. But the
you've
coming
never
off
seen a
one sounds
Carry On
pretty good.
film?
No, I haven't.
You need to watch
You
them,
need
mate.
educating.
They're from a certain era. The reason that Jim Dale is actually trending is because every time this happens, there's always somebody. There's somebody called Jim Dale on GB News, and whenever he trends on X, people think that Jim Dale, the Carry On guy, has died. Well, of course he hasn't.
Oh, no.
So then that basically leads to everybody posting clips of Jim Dale in the Carry On films. Carry On Doctor is probably one of his biggest films. He's 88.
Yes.
He's still alive. But that film is absolutely brilliant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to retweet that so everybody can see it at Steve Wraith, and you can see that as well, right? You'll get an idea of what Carry On Films are all about. Absolutely brilliant.
All right, check it out.
Theatre of Streams, lads. The reason that is trending, of course, is because of what happened at Manchester United last week. At the weekend, sorry. And that was the rainstorm after they got beat off Arsenal yesterday. Showed the deficiencies of the stadium aren't just in one little section as we've been led to believe. It's actually all over the stadium, and you actually had like the rivers of Babylon streaming through the roofs of Old Trafford. I mean, had anyone actually been sitting there during the game, I mean, it would have been like double a drop on Crackerjack. It would have been covered. It would have been absolutely covered in water And I mean, I'm not joking. You have to see it to believe it. There's plenty of videos out there on X, but I mean, Daz, I think you're back with us. Did you see that yesterday? How mad was that?
I did, yeah. And it was Match of the Day 2 as well last night. I think they weren't in the studio, so they started the game talking on the edge of the pitch. Before the game, to do the intro, and then after the game, they're sort of well and truly moved into the stand. But you could see the deluge behind them. It was absolutely horrific. And yeah, I had a pal who was there and sent me an image, a video of it, the way it was coming down. And you're right. If people had been sat under that, there would have been some injuries. I think it was that bad.
It's ridiculous.
But you're right. It's not just in one place. It's all over the place. And I cannot believe that it's been allowed to get like. Well, I can potentially believe that it's been allowed to get back. One of the biggest clubs in the world. And they're an absolute embarrassment, laughingstock today, and their stadium is pretty poor as well. So you've got to see it to believe it. If you've not seen it, try and catch the images that are going on social media. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, Rai. I mean, since we started the show, Rai, in August, we've been talking about Manchester United. We've been talking about bits of concrete dropping on people's heads and stuff like that. But I mean, this is horrendous, really. And the Glazers were watching the women's team yesterday, so they weren't there watching what was before them. But so Jim Ratcliffe was sitting in the stands yesterday with a few of his other new board directors, and they must have been horrified at what they saw. I mean, it's a huge refurbishment job that needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we were talking about it, the Wembley of the North or whatever he wants to do. Do you know what I mean? When he was talking about moving the stadium and stuff like that. So he definitely needs to put some money into that stadium. I mean, Old Trafford is such and a fantastic football stadium. When I came to England, I went there as well. They said, you got to go to Old Trafford and watch a Man United game, even though I didn't want to because I'm Borough through and through. But look, it's incredible to see such a historic club in Man United, wherever you go in the world. And and for those that have travelled around the world, you'll know, but you don't understand how big Man United are in Asia, in Australia, New Zealand, wherever you go in this world. If you mention Man United, people know what it is, even if they don't follow football or soccer. You know what I mean? Everybody knows who Man United is, and it's incredible to see such a prestigious team in that regard falling to bits back home. So I think Sir Jim, who we constantly keep hearing about, has got such a massive job on his hands. And I'll tell you what, if he's going to need a job very, very soon, Casemiro, he can become a builder and maybe fix it up, because he was absolutely shocking in the midfield last night. He'd had a few too many chocolates or something like that, so he can get a job as a builder and help fix it up afterwards, I think, because your playing days are pretty much done, Casemiro.
Yeah, Ted, the stream, the theatre of streams is I mean, it's hilarious, but it's not funny for the Man United fans, is it?
No, just the point's being made to me there, just off air, that if they were sitting under that, the fans, while they were watching that dross, would it not be a mercy drowning?
Waterboarded at Man U.
Absolutely. Oh, I'll tell you what, I've got one signing they could make that would be befitting of the stadium and the conditions right now. I reckon they should go and try and tempt Cloud Makaleli out of retirement.
Very good.
Well done. Well done.
Daz, I've got to ask you about your Carry On film, because you will be a Carry On film man. Have you? I mean, we both gone for Carry On Camp, and Carry On Doctors is good as well. I did like Carry On Henry. I'm a big Sid James fan, but have you got a favourite Carry On film?
Well, Camping, brilliant. Doctor, excellent. But Up the Khyber for me. Carry On Up the Khyber. I remember that one, watching that one fondly. I mean, so racist and wrong now, but then hilarious. So Carry On Up the Khyber for me would be one of my favourites. But camping,
Yeah, Daz wasn't endorsing racism or sexism at all.
No, not at all. Yeah,
I think you clear that. Yeah, it's just the end of his career. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. If we're going to talk about carry-ons, then that's a given, really, isn't it? That they were the very, very different times, of course. But just some brilliant. And the one thing about camping, Carry On camping was that it just had everything, that the carry-ons were about. And arguably good and bad, but they were, for Rye, you must think, hang on, what on earth is this?
I tell you what, his summer's going to be jam-packed because there's quite a few films to be watching.
Yeah.
This alphabet challenge on X is something which I've never even heard of, and this is why the X-Files it's even an opening my eyes to new things. Hashtag alphabet challenge is what you need to search. And today, the 13th of May, is the beginning of week T. So apparently, it's about mobile photography. So what they do is, they go through the alphabet, and each week is allocated a letter, and people take a photograph of something beginning with T. So getting off the carry-on theme, Daz, before you start suggesting anything inappropriate.
How dare you?
So it was S yesterday, of course, so the sun. There was lots of beautiful photos of the sun and stars. So, today's photographs will begin with T. So there you are. You can go off, lads, with your mobile phones today, get a good photograph of something legal, and stick it on X.
I'm going to have a route about the cat litter tray because there's a few T's lying around in there.
Well, I'll give you a suggestion. Someone's put a telephone on.
All right.
Yeah, someone's put Twitcher moment. Yes, so they've put a picture of a bird. Matthew Bourne has put some birds on which are cool, long-tailed, great, and blue. And
what could they be?
Exactly, yes. So you get the picture anyway. See what I did there, but it's a good thing to do. The hashtag alphabet challenge. Hopefully you can all join in and do that on X. But I'm going to close the X-Files for now because it seems like we could end up going down some dodgy ground if we start talking about birds. Moving on. Yes. Moving on. If you want to join the show and send a WhatsApp in, you've still got 20 odd minutes to do so. 0330 043 2002. I guess another congratulations has to go to Manchester United's women's team, who I mentioned earlier on. They took part in the final yesterday against Spurs and won 4-0. Seemed to be a decent crowd there yesterday, but again, not something I watched. It was on, it was on in the background for about 10 minutes in my house. Did anybody watch it? Did you watch it, guys? Anybody on the show watch it? I didn't watch it.
I didn't, to be honest, mate. No, it was like I say, Lidl was calling, and the championship put me off football for a full weekend. To be honest,
right?
No, mate. No, Man United, please. I'd rather watch paint dry.
Daz, as part of your research as the leader on the North East show on Monday, the 13th of May, did you watch the women's?
Here's that bus coming. Let's throw them under.
That'll be a northern. Anyway, well done, Manchester United.
I was sunning myself.
Before we go to travel, I just want to ask you about Chris Rigg, Ted. He's going to be in the shop window with the under-17s this month. The reports yesterday were that he's been watched by a couple of the big Bundesliga giants.
Big Mackems.
As well as Newcastle United, of course, still been linked with him. But do you think Chris Rigg's going to stay? I think he'll stay at Sunderland. I think there's a bit of loyalty there. I certainly think, from what I've seen of images of him at the Stadium of Light kissing the badge, and he's affectionate to the fans. I think unless the club decide we can cash in on him because we're going to make a fortune out of this kid, I think he'll stay.
I do as well, and I'll tell you for why. He's actually getting first team action. And that as a 16-year-old lad is just so rare. To be able to develop properly as a player, you need to be playing senior football, and this kid has been since he's been 15 years old. So right now he's about to sign. He's still on a schoolboy contract. Remember, he's not even on a professional contract yet. He's He turns 17 next month, which means he can sign professional terms. We're being led to believe that that's all agreed. It's just basically waiting to happen. I think the club will develop him at least another season or two before we even think about selling him. But rightly so, a lot of big clubs are interested in the lad. What's really quite eye-opening is a lot of the German clubs seem to be keeping tabs on him, which is unusual. But they do appreciate a good technician, which he is. He's one of those, a bit like a young Jordan Henderson. He's not one of them who has to kind of stop to pass the ball. He can pass the ball on the move. And while that sounds like something really simple, to do that well, you've got to be a really good player to do that. As in, hit a moving ball. He's not your typical midfielder. This guy he's got so much potential. Quick into the challenge, he can shoot. He's got everything about his game. He's going to be a complete midfielder. So I'm not surprised at the clubs that are after him and watching him. I just think for his stage of development right now, he's in the right place. He's getting regular football. What you don't want as a player that age is to go to like a Man City and basically disappear into their reserves, a bit like what Patrick Roberts did. Disappear into the reserves, spend half your career going out on loan at various places, and then end up like sort of playing Championship or League One football. That's not what you want. So the kid's in the right place. I think a move to Germany would actually be a good thing for him in a couple of years' time. You look at the way they develop their technical side of the game. I don't think that would be a bad move at all for him. But right now, he's a Sunderland player, and I expect him to stay there.
Ted, I absolutely love you, but what he needs right now is leadership, and you don't have that at your club at all. He needs tutorage. He's 17 years old. He's getting it from
a great youth coach, mate. He's getting it from the guy who coached Jude Bellingham. I don't buy that at all. Like, yeah,
I see. I just don't think he is, though. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think he's getting the right amount of first team appearances. He could have had a lot more with a settled manager this season. And I hope to God you get a good manager in that is about that youth team, because you've got players like him that need that. I mean, and it's. I hope that there's someone that can come in and can do the world of good for him, because at the moment he needs stability. At 17 years old, he's got the world at his feet. He's going to go away with England now to go to Cyprus as well. He needs stability, and unfortunately that you're not offering that at the moment in the first team picture anyway.
Okay, we are coming up to a quick travel break, so we will hand over to Daz. We'll be back after this.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink, the North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the northeast, the red, the toon and the cat.
And you can get in touch with the North East Footy Brekky. There's still 13 minutes or so left of the show, but we'd love to hear from you. Matty's been in touch all morning. Has he got any work done this morning, Matty? Working in television, as you know. Peter Rogers, who produced some of the Carry On films, I actually felt sorry for the cast and crew. They barely got paid for the work and all the DVD merchandise. Peter Rogers took it. Well, that's according to you. I think we'll just leave that one as there as your opinion there, Matty.
Doing your best to get fired today, like
I know
that.
I am, yeah. But yeah, I mean, so there you go. Thank you for that, Matty. And Ted, you've got some interesting news.
Yes, yeah, I can't believe this. 27. Don't worry, it's nothing controversial. 27 years ago today, we said. 27 years ago today, we said farewell to Roker Park back in 1997.
That's incredible.
Concluding the 99-year history of what has to be one of the most famous football grounds, like certainly for people of a certain age who witnessed the Roker Raw, as it was back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. It wasn't exactly it didn't live up to what it used to be naturally, but a great stadium. I certainly used to thoroughly enjoy my time there. But yeah, 27 years since the last game. Brilliant, wasn't it? Absolutely brilliant. That massive open
as a Newcastle
Roker
fan,
end.
I never saw us lose there. It's always the best place.
That's
place
a good
to go
point. Yeah, you'd have loved it for that. Like, I'm thinking more for like the ice cold pies and the screaming hot bovril. But there you go. Fantastic ground, and like I say, 27 years. Where's that gone? That's absolutely incredible. I was actually at the last league game. I didn't make it to the Liverpool one, which was like the celebratory game. But I remember the last league game at Roker Park. The Chris Waddle free kick, beating Everton 3-1. Great day, and we'll still miss that stadium to this day.
What's there now?
It's a housing estate.
Yeah. It's housing,
but it's like sort of a Clock Stand Way and Premier Drive, and it's kind of all the street names are kind of like football related.
Yeah, it's the same with Ayrsham Park.
It's the same as Ayrsham. Yeah, I was going to say Ayrsham's housing now as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Got no fans Avenue, was it, or something like that? Was it?
That was the weirdest thing. You've got no fans.
Got no fans. He was at St James's, wasn't he, recently?
Yeah, I got a photo with him. He was coming out the ground as I was coming out the ground. I got a photo with the lad. What a character.
Fantastic! Your boy Sam.
Harry Kane is suffering from back problems, according to Thomas Tuchel, and as Euro 2024 approaches. The question is, who is going to be the man who plays up front? I mean, we've got Callum Wilson at Newcastle, who seemed to be in the driving seat, it has to be said, but injury has beset him again. Whether he'll feature in the last two games for Newcastle in the next week will probably dictate whether he goes to the Euros. Ollie Watkins was on fire at the start of the season, but seems to have hit the proverbial brick wall in the last few games. And Palmer, it seems to be the one coming up on the outside, using a horse terminology, and potentially could push all of these to one side and be a man in the reckoning. What's your thoughts on this one, Rai, for England? Harry Kane, a talisman for the last few years, and of course a man who scored many goals, but he's not getting any younger. He's had a great season in Germany, over 40 goals for a debut season across there is some going, but if he's suffering from back problems, it's another major tournament that he's going into where he's not 100%.
Yeah, I'd struggle to see any footballer at this current stage of the season being 100%, such as the amount of football that they play. I think, Michael Carrick even said it about the Borough. He said that he doesn't think at any stage during his career was he 100%. It's just something that footballers have to adjust to and try and get the best out of their body when they can. And I think Harry Kane would still be there, and I still think he's the best chance England have got, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, he's still going without silverware at Bayern Munich, which is absolutely incredible. That and look, Callum Wilson, I don't think so. Callum Wilson might be in the driving seat, but he's in the driving seat of an ambulance rather than anywhere near football. So it's unfortunately just this injury crisis, isn't it, that just is hurting England as it comes to Euro. And it's just that's the part of international football, is that you have a full game, full season of football to play before you even get to an international pitch. So unfortunately, England are going to have to try and just pick. I would still be taking Harry Kane, because not only is Harry Kane, if he is fit, good on the pitch, he'd be a fantastic asset around the, for the club, around England for the younger boys as well, sort of thing, and try and learn off him. So I think even if it's a 75% fit, 80% fit Harry Kane, you still take him.
Ted, thoughts on this?
I'm amazed the back injury hasn't come up before now, to be honest, Steve, because he's carried Spurs for most of his career. Listen, I mean, obviously if he's fit, he has to play. He's England's record scorer of penalties. Sorry, he's England's record scorer. And yeah, he's got to go. He is the talisman. I get it. I don't always kind of believe he is the best option at times. I think Ollie Watkins probably deserved a little bit more of a run than what Harry Kane did. On occasions, there's an argument to be made that really we should be looking elsewhere anyway because of his age. He's not getting any younger. We need to be starting to play more strikers to get them the international experience. However, yeah, Rye's right. If he's fit, he's got to play. For me, given who else is fit and available at this moment in time, this is purely based on who's fit and available, I'd be looking at Solanke. 19 goals in 37 appearances in the league this season, 21 in all competitions. He's not a bad shout. He's a big lad. He's 6'2". I reckon he'd be a good shout to play instead.
Yeah, yep.
What's your thoughts, Daz, on Harry Kane and who would replace him if he is going to be carrying this injury, which it looks likely?
Yeah, there is a good argument to take him, isn't there? And make sure that he brings his experience to the squad and acts like a captain. He's been a captain, England captain for a while. So I think there's something to be said for that, even if he's not fit to take him and have him around, have him around the group. But I think Ted's just said it there. Solanke would certainly be an option. Ollie Watkins, obviously, and Gordon. You've got to look. Gordon's alive at the moment.
True. Yeah.
So you got to think about taking him
quite
along.
Flash, though, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm out. I'm just trying to think who else would you take along?
Would you take Cole Palmer?
He's certainly scoring goals, and I mean, you mentioned earlier about why Chelsea have crept up from 12th place to level on points with Newcastle is because of him. Yeah, his goals have been the main reason.
Yeah, well, I think he's got to be in the mention. Him, Anthony Gordon, especially, and they're the next future of England. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to play them at some point, Gareth. Do you know what I mean? And he has got to have the best chance I've ever seen in an England squad coming into this Euros. Do you know what I mean? Apart from Man United letting him down, every other team in England is producing some real talent, and it's the best chance England are going to ever have, I reckon.
Do you think Morgan Rogers is an outside bet?
Yeah, it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. He's done so well at Aston Villa, hasn't he? You know what I mean? He's done so well. And he's got under 21 experience. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's not a bad shout either. But I think Cole Palmer for me. Cole Palmer's got to be a mention in there if Harry Kane can't go. But I think Harry Kane goes just purely on experience alone, and Cole Palmer can go and definitely chip in with a few. Imagine Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon up front with Saka as well. Come off it. I mean that is like FIFA stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's your team you pick on FIFA, for goodness sake, when you want to impress your girlfriend in front of your mates, sort of thing. Jesus.
Before we finish and hand over to Daz, I just want to know, I mean, what did you do on the Saturday off then, right? What were you doing on Saturday? Were you spending time with the family? Were you? Yeah,
I slept 2 a.m. weirdly. I actually went to bed and had a night, and we watched the movie or two, I think, and it was weird. It was really weird. I spoke to the club a little bit. They had a few charity events on as well. That was pretty cool. I spoke to Yusuf as well, fan of the season as well. He was helping him with his end of season video as well. So yeah, just a few bits and pieces. Riley McGree's down here in Australia. I was commenting him on his gym pics. As weird as that sounds, it is probably that weird. So yeah, no.
You be careful. You be careful.
Yeah. Hey, he invited me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no. It's honestly weekend off really. Just annoyed Ted a little bit.
Well, that's not a bad thing, is it?
No new there.
Hey, listen, just before we do go, I've upset our Matty. And apparently he is working. He is busy writing his very first Doctor Who episode while he's listening to the show. And he's actually sent us a little excerpt. It's called... I don't know if I can say this. Maybe I can't say this out loud, but I'll read out a little bit of what he's written so far. The police box light flashes. A wind springs up. The noise, the ancient engines grinding, rising, falling as it appears in a radio studio in the northeast. So it looks as though he's using us as inspiration there for his first ever episode. I can't wait to see what happens next on that one.
Well, I want to see Our Wiedersehen Pet over the weekend, lads. And as you know, I do like it was their 40th anniversary show, and I do like to write a poem. I am committed to doing this poem a day this year. So here you go, lads. We'll finish with my poem about Auf Wiedersehen Pet.
Go for it.
40 years on, still good as new. A cast and a crew to entertain you. Neville and Dennis, Moxie and Oz, Barry and Bomber, and Wayne, of course. The Magnificent Seven had adventures galore. From Germany to Cuba, we all want more. A show hard to beat, as good as it gets. The one and only Auf Wiedersehen Pet.
Very good.
Very good.
Excellent.
Very good.
That's all. And what do you got coming up, Dennis?
We've got all the usual favourites. We've got a category this morning. Looking forward to that one. We've also got the news, the showbiz, the TV, and of course the quiz that is sweeping the nation. That's all coming up in a couple of minutes' time. Well, thanks, guys. Another fabulous show. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 7, and if you missed it, it's on the network between 4 and 6 and on the podcast as well. Have a sunny day, guys.
Bye.